But what I was going to mention was Andrew and I were kind of talking about this luck thing, and this whole topic is coming up because you brought it up. How like people are like, are you only like how lucky are you, or are you able to do this shit because you're rich? Or whatever?
Like lucky or patient or good at what you do,
or good at what you do. But how I got here is also like there was some luck involved, but it was the same thing like Andrew. Like there was luck and there was also putting myself like out there. Okay, so what happened? The first time I ever came to super training was actually I think in 2014. It was at the old super training, and there was a seminar where you, Omar, Yusuf, and Mike did a live podcast. And I came and I was in the audience with my ex-girlfriend. And when you guys were finished, I asked a question. And I remember it was either you or Omar was like, that question's a little bit too complicated. I don't know if we can really answer it. But what happened after that was the LA Fit Expo of the next year, I went out to Barbell Brigade and I drove out there, my beat up ass Corolla. I drove my car out there because I didn't have money for a plane ticket because my goal was just to like network with fitness people and see what the fuck I could do. Then when I was training at Barbell Brigade, you recognized me. Because I think you remember me from that live podcast you guys did. So you recognized me and you're like, you should come train at Super Training. And I didn't have the balls beforehand to actually just randomly come into the gym and train, even though it was still free. It's always been free. I didn't have the balls to do that. But after you invited me, I immediately started coming and training. And then you guys would go out to expos and shit. And I just asked, hey, y'all don't need to pay me, but I know I can sell shit. How about you guys, I'll come to the next expo. Oh, yeah. That was that LA Fit Expo from 2015. So this was actually right after I did a bodybuilding show, and I was coming after contest. And that was the first time I also met Mike O'Hearn. I don't think he remembers this, but that was when I met Mike O'Hearn. I forgot what gym that was.
Pretty shredded.
Yep. Looking, yeah. I think I was like 235 there. Yeah.
How old were you?
That was 2015. I'm 30 now.
So much hair.
So I was 20. I was about to turn 23, or I was already 23 at the time. So
who's the dude in the front? He's pretty shredded.
I don't know who that guy is.
I see Mike Rashid in there too.
Looking
great.
Mike Rashid's like looking massive. But yeah, yeah, that was the first time I met O'Hearn. But yeah, like I drove out to the San Jose Vid Expo with you guys. I didn't get paid, but I literally asked you guys, hey, if I drive out, can I just come help you guys sell shit at the booth? I didn't ask to get paid. And y'all were like, yeah, sure. I came. And then you're like, okay, looks like he can talk to people and sell some shit. So then you guys invited me to come out to other expos.
Yeah.
So I just randomly started doing stuff with you guys then and I ended up in videos because I was lifting with you guys, and then finally became part of like the team. And then a few years later, I started doing a podcast with my friend because I saw like what you guys were doing here. I was like, I want to do podcasts. So I started this podcast called We Don't Know Yet with my best friend, Brian. And I was doing that for like a year and a half. And then you invited me first off as a guest on the podcast. And then you and Andrew invited me to come co-host the podcast. I think it was episode 176. So I was lucky I was already doing some podcast stuff before. Even though when I look at old podcasts, I was nervous as fuck. But it's like, if I didn't come to that seminar that early, like back in 2014, I didn't ask that question, you might not recognize me from being from Sacramento, and you wouldn't have invited me to the gym and come train. And then none of this would have happened. So again, like Andrew.
And none of that beginning stuff has really anything to do with an occupation or transaction of money.
No, I didn't ask for money. I didn't when I was like, I'll go to the expo. I didn't ask to go with anyone. I didn't.
Did they ask what college you went to?
Nah.
No? Okay.
Nah. Right? I was just like, I'm pretty sure I can sell some shit with you guys. I can sling some slingshots, and boom.
Well, bam.
Well, and if you go back even further, it's like your soccer background helped. Your experience at, I think you said you worked at 24 Hour Fitness.
I worked at 24 Hour Fitness, but at the time when I started working with you guys, I was a full-time online coach. So I was working with bodybuilders, and I was also prepping powerlifters for meets. So coaching was the only thing I did. And my whole thing was just, I never wanted to have a boss. That was like, that's why like I did all that, because I had a normal job for a bit when I was in my teens, late teens. I was like, I fucking hate working in a building for hours. Like, I can't stand it. So yeah, that's all of that kind of helped this.
But those other life experiences are crucial. And like even playing soccer and then getting injured and like kind of just seeing how far you can take your body. Like it kept you interested in other stuff. Then you started doing,
I don't know if you want that back.
Getting more into bodybuilding, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, all of the whole story matters, like.
I was already a pro. I was already a pro natural bodybuilder in a few federations.
See, that's another key factor. And going back to Andrew's story too, it's like Andrew had at least a jumping off point, being a pro bodybuilder, like being someone who goes from being jacked, which you were jacked when you were a little young, and then being more jacked, I guess you'd say. Came out the womb jacked.
I was sucking that trend milk.
Yeah.
But transforming your body like that and the amount of discipline that it takes and the low calories and the different shit you put yourself through doing many bodybuilding shows, all those experiences, they're all really, really important and they're all critical. And why were you doing those things? Like wasn't really for, especially then, social media was less aggressive and it's just, what was it for? It's just I don't know what it's for. It's what I like to do. This is what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And it keeps leading you down these other paths. So it's a great idea to continually try to follow what you're interested in. Hopefully what you're interested in is healthy. Hopefully you're not just chasing chicks or something, which there's really nothing wrong with that, but sometimes that can lead to you running into some devil pussy.
Devil pussy mugs will be coming to you guys soon at our website, which is probably going to be done by this time.
Coffee tastes different out of there too, doesn't it?
Tastes like pussy.
A little sweeter.
Somebody left on the Within You brand, Instagram. We've made a post of this combination of salted caramel, steak shake, and vanilla protein powder that I mixed together. And I was like, it tastes really good. Someone's like, when you coming out with pussy flavor? And it got a lot of likes, a lot of other people liked it. And one of our employees here was like, this is disgusting. I cannot. I was like, listen,
read the room.
Somebody, I was like, if somebody came out with pussy flavored protein powder, I'd be the first person in line. I'd be purchasing that.
I would buy that. I wouldn't need a code. I'd buy that immediately.
I would be like, oh, that's a little strange. $280. Okay, check out. Boom. Buy 10.
You know what would be a hell of a business idea for anyone in the adult space?
What is that flavor? Oh yeah,
yeah. Because I think so they do have molds of different porn stars' vaginas as fleshlights, and they're like, oh, this is Asa Akira, this is Lisa Ann, this is Sasha Grey. These were some of my favorites as a youth.
Wasn't Sasha Grey from Sacramento too, or did I imagine that?
Studies.
I could be wrong. I don't want to Google it.
I haven't purchased any of these, by the way. It's just I just know about them.
Things he's heard.
But if you came out with a protein powder that was this tastes like God. You see where I'm going here. Yeah. And if you just got their signature this is authentic, that's a hell of a way.
That's the name. Hell of a way.
It's it's what is it? Desiccated, right? Desiccated sperm. There you go.
Oh. God, do you remember where you were before we got here?
No.
Something about opportunity. I don't know.
That is an opportunity.
It is. I was just saying, the many different things that you do kind of lead you. It's always going to lead you to something better, right? You go and you try something, and you find out that job at that fast food restaurant wasn't anything that you really dug for long enough, but it leads you to think about maybe something that you do want to do. So you get a job where you work in fucking insurance or something, and you're just crunching numbers, and you're one of those kind of people, and you just find out I kind of like numbers and I'm good with numbers, but I actually like people more so than anything. So maybe you start doing what my dad does. Maybe maybe you do run a tax practice or something like that. You gotta again.
Chiropractic family, how's it going? Now on this podcast, Mark, Andrew, and I, we talk about fasting a lot. We talk about the ketogenic diet and a lot of different types of diets, but Bubs Naturals has a product. They have the collagen protein, which is amazing. They have these apple cider vinegar gummies, which are like crack, but they have
they are
these they have these MCT oil powder packets that I've never used to do this, but in the morning I'll wake up and I'll put it in coffee, and the smoothness, number one, in terms of the mixing is amazing, but the consistency of my energy through the day because of the MCT oil powder is peak. Andrew, how's your experience with it?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. It's like the best way to start the day. You're satiated, you're energized, and you're just ready to crush the day. So if you guys want to get in on this MCT oil powder, head over to bubsnaturals.com and at checkout, enter promo code Power Project to save 20% off your entire order. Again, Bubs Naturals, promo code Power Project to save 20% off. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Yeah, with this show, I think there was like a couple things that I did early on. Like if I think back to the slingshot, I remember, putting it out, and I talked to all my friends are big and fat, but I talked to one of my many big fat friends, and what he said was, he's like, you should put like your signature on there. Mm-hmm. It's like, it will say slingshot on there, but you should like just throw your name on there. He's like, like the commissioner of the NFL, he just like signs it on there.
Yeah.
And then that way it's like Mark Bell slingshot. And I was like, holy fuck, that's actually really genius, because my main concern is that somebody else will make something similar.
People have tried.
Yeah, even though you have like patents and different things, like people are still going to make things. But if it's mine and I'm already recognizable in powerlifting, like that would be helpful. People would be like, oh, well, he was first. And I don't know, maybe they would, because I was first, maybe they'd want to support what I had ahead of time because I was an original or whatever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really happen anyway, but
it also doesn't hurt that your name is 2 syllables.
Yeah, it's easy.
Mark
right?
Bell. Mark Bell.
It's easy. So I wanted to brand it that way. And then just as I've grown in business, I was just like, well, I think it just makes sense to use my name for certain things. It makes like the branding easier. And then when you're looking on a podcast, like you don't want it to have a confusing name. I think Lex Friedman, I think Rogan told him, like, just call it Lex Friedman's podcast or whatever. It had a different name previously, and like people couldn't find it. They didn't. They were just wanted to consume stuff from Lex Friedman. They couldn't get to it and stuff like that. So that was part of the reason in naming this, and sticking my name in the front of this. It's just like, well, if somebody searches something from me, and I've known for a long time that this is going to be the most amount of work that I ever do, regardless of like any other videos. I've shot a lot of videos in fitness. I've shot a lot of stuff. But this podcast will surpass any amount of footage that I ever created or any amount of content I'll ever create. It'll just mainly all be from this. So if someone searches me, boom, they find the Power Project.
It's funny. Like when we actually think about the hours, how many episodes deep? 8 something?
8, yeah, 8, like 804.
804?
Yeah.
Let's just like.
And that's not like a strict 804. There's like Saturday schools, and then there's like episode 599 and episode 599. And it's like, oh fuck, we're already at like 6 something.
And
like,
what did I do? I did like 500 or 600 previous to that, right?
I think so.
Powercast. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
So yeah,
this was like 1400 or something. Yeah.
Been behind the mic for a long time.
Times 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah. I think podcasts for us probably average around like an hour 45 to 2 hours. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody could average it out for us.
There's a lot of talking.
You'll need to have a skill set. That's the main thing is like, you do want to follow what you're interested in, but if what you're interested in currently, you're just not that good at, you want to make art or something like that, and you're just not, you're going to have to find something. You're going to need like a Trojan horse. You need some way to get your foot in the door with something else before you start to, express the main thing that you love to do. So it might not show up the way that you think it's going to show up, or the things that you end up doing. Like when you started bodybuilding, you had no idea you would end up like basically talking about lifting and working out all the time. Maybe you thought like, oh, maybe this YouTube thing's kind of cool. Maybe I can talk about that a bit, but I don't think you ever thought you're going to talk about it all day, every day to all these different people that we have on the show.
So Power Project family, I hope you enjoyed this clip. We are on Discord and Reddit. We're trying to talk to you guys and build a community down there. So the links are in the bio. But remember, like, comment, subscribe, share this out with people so you can share the wealth of health. As cheesy as that fucking sounds. Peace.